viewers, bad news for Arvind Kejriwal. A local court in Delhi acquiesced in the plea that was put forth by the Enforcement Directorate seeking his judicial custody for another 15 days. In other words, viewers, Arvind Kejriwal, the Delhi Chief Minister, will now be lodged in Tihar jail. They say in Barrack 2 of Tihar jail till April 15th. Viewers, dramatic events, and I'm just going to pull up the graphics on this story. First off, to give you a sense really of what transpired in the court. As I told you, remanded to judicial custody till April 15th, but some arguments were made by the Enforcement Directorate. The ED says Kejriwal was non-cooperative in providing evasive answers. The ED also said that Kejriwal is diverting the course of investigations. The ED claims Kejriwal is not providing passwords for digital devices, specifically, viewers, his Apple telephone, which seems to be of some evidentiary value. The Delhi High Court dismissed the PIL to prevent the Chief Minister from issuing orders from custody. Now, viewers, this, remember, is also something that is taking place in the backdrop, because many people are beginning to ask whether Arvind Kejriwal can tenably retain his post as Chief Minister, whether Arvind Kejriwal now needs to find someone he can devolve responsibility to, at least in the interim, to run the government. In other words, viewers, following the example of other precedents by other Chief Ministers, and appoint a caretaker Chief Minister. Viewers, Arvind Kejriwal right now has not let his mind be known on this particular issue. He is, of course, hoping, perhaps, one can't say, viewers, he's hoping that the government would move and impose president rule so that he could go out there and appeal to the public and their sentiment through his party and, of course, other machinery to suggest that a mandate has been stolen. Well, viewers, that's a different gamble altogether, and one can't account for that. But many people are also beginning to ask whether morally and ethically Kejriwal is in the right, especially after the Enforcement Directorate made some astounding claims. And those claims are on your screens, viewers. They told the court that Kejriwal stated accused Vijay Nair was reporting to Atishi and Saurabh Bhardwaj and not to him. This is something that has, of course, been said in the past. But viewers, in the context of this scam, or alleged scam, the liquor policy, excise policy scam, this assumes a completely different interpretation, because it suggests that this individual, Mr. Vijay Nair, who is alleged by the Enforcement Directorate to be a go-between between the liquor lobbies, lobbying for licenses and ready to pay kickbacks, was not actually speaking with Kejriwal but his other two deputies, Saurabh Bhardwaj and Atishi Marlena. Now, viewers, having said that, naturally many people will look at Bhardwaj and Marlena as suspects, and we are hearing, viewers, that the Enforcement Directorate and other authorities might in fact start looking at them. Is Kejriwal therefore shifting the goalposts? Legitimate questions being asked on the back of this startling claim by the Enforcement Directorate by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Kejriwal has stated that his interaction with the accused Vijay Nair was very limited, therefore distancing himself from one of the prime accused in this case, viewers. Confronted Kejriwal with AAP Treasurer ND Gupta's statement on the Goa Post. Now remember, viewers, being the Treasurer, he would have known if money was actually being funneled for expenses, electoral expenses, to run the AAP's campaign in the Goa election from a couple of years ago. The AAP Treasurer ND Gupta revealed Kejriwal appointed election in charges, and therefore Kejriwal would have handed allegedly that money, according to the ED, to these in charges for expenditure. But Kejriwal has said that ND Gupta was confused. In fact, Kejriwal said it was ND Gupta who has got it wrong, because it was the Political Action Committee of the AAP that picked the election in charges. Viewers, the ED says that Kejriwal was shown evidence of 45 crore Hawala transactions for the Goa polls, and he remained unaware of the said transactions for the Goa elections. So viewers, all of this is now coming out. All of this is now coming out, and of course viewers, many people are also wondering whether the time has come for Mr. Kejriwal to demit office in favor of others. And viewers, of course, the centre has already begun consultations with legal experts, because there is a window, and that window is provided by Article 239AB of the Constitution. The provision on failure of constitutional machinery if President, on receipt of report from LG or otherwise, is satisfied that a situation has arisen in which NCT administration cannot be carried on as per Article 239AA or any law in pursuance of that article, or, very significantly viewers, B, for proper administration of NCT, if it is necessary or expedient to do so, the President may by order suspend the operation of any provision of Article 239AA or of all or any of the provisions of any law made in pursuance of that article for such period and subject to such conditions as may be specified in such law, and make such incidental and consequential provisions as may appear to him to be necessary or expedient for administering the Union Territory, the National Capital Territory, viewers. And it is this B clause which lowers the bar, the threshold for the government at the centre to take over the administration. So viewers, let's open this up for discussion. It's an important, pivotal debate really. The people of Delhi, can they repose their faith, continue to repose their faith? And let's ask Akashdeep Muni, political analyst, AAP supporter, can they repose their faith in an individual? I'm talking about the citizenry of Delhi, of an individual who is today in jail, sir, in Tihar jail, the notorious Tihar jail, the infamous Tihar jail. For what? For his role in funneling kickbacks, sir. That is the allegation, stringent allegation, from liquor lobbies to grant excise license. At whose cost, viewers? Mr. Muni, at whose cost? At the public's cost, at the public's interest. So if a man like that today is ruling the capital, and that too from jail, I have to ask you, Mr. Muni, has he lost moral authority to do so? Put your hand on your heart and tell me, had this been Modi, what would you have said today? Tell me, be honest.
Okay, Rahulji, first of all, can Kejriwal rule from jail? Legally, he can. The High Court and the Supreme Court have disposed of number of cases, number of PILs. The Supreme Court recently disposed of a PIL which was asking that for his removal as CM, Chief Minister. So legally, he can do it. Can he do it morally? Yes, he can, because it is all about vendetta. Had it not been vendetta, then I would have said that he should not rule. For example, there has been cases where people on whom serious corruption charges have been put by Bharatiya Janata Party, who has been shoved off all the charges by CBI, by ED. ED in the case of Chhagan Bhujbal, CBI in the case of Praful Patel. Now, if they can be out and you say that Kejriwal is wrong, ये बैठता नहीं है. This is not equitable.
Achha.
Second point is that...
One second. When Kejriwal was starving at Ramleela ground with Anna Hazare and saying that the 2G accused should step down from office, where was his morality then? Was that vendetta, or was that standing up for the real moral authority that he brought to bear upon the Congress government? I want to ask you, sir,
Yes, yes.
Should he have asked for A. Raja's resignation at that time? And I can bring you out that quote of his, that they have lost the moral authority. In fact, he even asked for the Dr. Manmohan Singh's resignation at that time. Remember, they were all starving there, saying that this is very, very wrong.
Okay, Rahulji, whosoever compares the Congress government with Bharatiya Janata Party government, and you have been a senior journalist, you know that there is no comparison between Congress and Bharatiya Janata Party.
But you made the comparison, I didn't, sir. I'm
Let
only
me
quoting
complete.
Kejriwal back to you.
That's what I'm saying, that you cannot compare Congress with Bharatiya Janata Party.
Acha?
Because Congress never used ED to an extent where they'll be putting sitting
so
chief
that
minister
cage
inside jail.
parrot that was flying around and sitting on people's shoulder and doing its droppings on
now,
those
if
shoulders.
You allow me
My
to complete,
God.
then I can do it. Give me 20 seconds more. Now, putting hand upon your heart. Rahulji, you and Ranganathanji, put your hands upon your heart and then justify Bharatiya Janata Party's act of putting Kejriwal behind bars. Let me see how much you are true to yourself.
Hang on 1 second, Mr. Muni. What are you saying? Am I putting him behind bars? It is a court today that has told him to go behind bars. Poor judges, you can ask them. I'll actually, you know what? We should connect you to one of the justices right now. And you can ask him, put your hand on your heart, Justice Sahab, and say, why are you sending my poor beleaguered companion soul
now again,
to Tihar jail? Listen, please. Please, sir, please, Mr. Muni, please, just stop there for 30 seconds. I am yet to see, sir, Mr. Muni, please. Yes, the ED is out of control. The ED, I believe, is used selectively. On that point, I will today say yes, but sir, show me one court. अरे मेरी बात तो सुन लीजिए आकाशदीप साहब, आपने इतना बोला, मैंने कुछ नहीं बोला. आपने बोला देखो, morally he should not because this is vendetta. Then I go back into the past and I say that morally, Mr. Kejriwal was asking for the resignations of top people in both connection of 2G and Colgate scam. You remember the three of them, Dr. Ranganathan, Prashant Bhushan, Yogendra Yadav, Kejriwal holding press conferences. They even said at that time the major aim and the major targeting was at Priyanka Gandhi Vadra's husband, if you remember. And the gentleman, in fact, was so tickled by a reporter that at one time he lost his cool. I don't know. I mean, you know, what's his name? Tehseen Poonawala here is the in-law of that beleaguered man who was running around and, you know, saying Banana Republic in a, you know, Aam Aadmi in Banana Republic. Those were, what was he saying? Why was he saying that? Out of frustration. Because every day, Mr. Kejriwal and Mr. Yogendra Yadav and Bhushan would sit there and bring out tomes, checkbooks, all sorts of things. I don't need to tell you, do I, Dr. Ranganathan? So, listen, I mean, when the shoe's on the other foot, it becomes vendetta because it pinches in a certain way. When it was on the other foot, it was, you know, they were putting their best foot forward to land these people in jail. What's going on here?
No, Rahul, you just being vindictive because हमारा नेता कैसा हो, Mrs. Kejriwal जैसा हो. Every citizen of Delhi, including myself, including Tehseen and Dr. Muni, look forward to Mrs. Kejriwal as our next Chief Minister. Please don't ruin that. And before I begin my submission, can I please ask a yes and no question to the epitome of morality, my good friend Dr. Muni. Dr. Muni, do you have any objection to Mrs. Kejriwal becoming a Chief Minister? Yes or no?
Personally, yes, I have.
Okay. You have objection. Well, that's very refreshing. I must say, I congratulate you on that. There is still some semblance of ethics and morality left in some people who support AAP. Be that as it may, the couple of questions that have been asked and thrown at you and me, because my name was also taken, Rahul, it is no one's grouse, and in fact, the ED has gone after politicians. Those politicians belong to the opposition. I remember no one's grouse that ED is being used almost totally selectively. Absolutely it is. I'm the first one to admit it, and Dr. Muni also would realize this, that for the last 1 year we've been saying this. But that's not the issue here. The issue out here is let the ED be selective. At every step of the way, Rahul, in this case, the court has been supervising with not just an eye, but an eagle eye. In fact, today as well, it is the court that is sending and asking Kejriwal to be behind bars. It is not ED. Number two, all those draconian provisions that the AAP supporters are saying ED is now using, PMLA, new provisions ED is now using against Kejriwal. Let me remind them that the Supreme Court 3-judge bench has not just ratified those provisions, actually stamped them, approved them. So where is the question of Modi, of this government, of BJP or its supporters exploiting laws, using illegal methods to detain Kejriwal and other AAP support? Where is it? I asked point blank to Dr. Muni. He has no response other than to say, to resort to one second, Doctor, please. Other than resorting to whataboutery, कि कांग्रेस भी ये कर रही थी, बीजेपी भी कर रही थी, आप भी ये कर रही है, लेकिन आप आपके पीछे पड़े हुए हो. And it is I'm very embarrassed and very saddened, Dr. Muni, that today the whole genesis of AAP is because of the massive corruption that was conducted in 2010, 11 and 2000 UPA 2. And today you've kind of cushioned it. You've said that BJP is more corrupt than Congress. BJP is exploiting ED more than Congress. Is this what it has come to? That just because you are part of the India alliance, you would completely brush out and airbrush all the crimes of the Congress for the reason for which you are there as a party. This is very disappointing, Dr. Muni.
Now let me point out something. Since you talked about that period of time, 2012, Dr. Ranganathan, and since I broached it, Kejriwal to Gherao PM house.
Yes.
Dr. Manmohan Singh's house demanding Khurshid's resignation. Law minister. उनको भी नहीं छोड़ा. उनको बोला कि भाई he needs to go by 12 noon. And if you don't...
Called him Baisakhi Chor.
Yes. And there were several reasons for it. Now, I want to understand this. Colgate, Arvind Kejriwal came out and said, PM must resign. In fact, the Prime Minister then came out and gave a statement to say, I reject demands for my resignation. Now, sir, can I ask you a question, Mr. Muni? Had this been the Prime Minister of India, the current one, since you have a habit of wanting Prime Ministers to step down, if Narendra Modi had been caught issuing the liquor licenses by some dint of fate, what would you have done? You would have said, nahi, vendetta hai, and the CAG is going bonkers, and that, the opposition should not do this. Congress party don't do this. Would you? Or would you say, no, step down morally and get cleared of the charges? In fact, there is precedence for this also. So I want to ask you, Mr. Muni.
Okay, I'll take first question first. Ranganathan ji said that it is the courts who are doing it. BJP has nothing to do. The government has nothing to do with this. I want to remind my dear friend about the 2017 decision of the Supreme Court in Nikesh Tarachand Shah versus Union of India, in which the Honorable Supreme Court struck down Section 45 of PMLA. It was through legislative amendments made in 2018 that it was... Wait a minute. Now you have... let me complete. Now everyone who is watching it, you can check it. It is available on free on Google. There's information. In 2018, through legislative amendments, the central government reinstated it. It is interesting that I want to cite what in 2022, in the decision of Supreme Court in Vijay Madanlal Chaudhary versus Union of India, where what the union government was asked from the Supreme Court, that what is your view upon these changes you have made in PMLA. So the government says, from the standpoint of the country's obligations and evolving responsibility internationally, in the context of Union of India relied on the international commitments and recommendation of international bodies, including those made for the Financial Action Task Force, an international body that reviews money laundering prevention measures in various countries.
अरे सर मेरा ये सब छोड़िए सर, you know what
this relates ना सर मैं जो फैक्ट बताता हूँ आपको दिक्कत है,
आप बताइए ना क्या, what is the point?
Rahul,
Second.
one second.
2017
Let him finish. What is the point, Mr. Muni? What is the point? Get to
2017
the
में
point.
सेक्शन 45 ऑफ पीएमएलए स्ट्रक
There
डाउन
is
हो
no
गया, जिससे
point.
कि ना कि अरविंद केजरीवाल को, मनीष सिसोदिया को, संजय जी को गिरफ्तार किया गया। 2018 में जो प्रोविजन उन्होंने
So
स्ट्रक
आप
डाउन
कह
किए
रहे
थे
हैं कि
सुप्रीम कोर्ट में,
कोर्ट्स मिले हुए हैं। आप ये कह रहे हैं कि कोर्ट्स मिले हुए हैं ना? क्या कह रहे हैं
आप? तो सुनिए,
मुझे समझ नहीं आ रही, मिस्टर मुनी।
मैं कह रहा हूँ कि ना, ये कोर्ट ने 2017 में स्ट्रक डाउन कर दिया जिस प्रोविजंस को, उसको 2018 में थ्रू लेजिस्लेटिव अमेंडमेंट
Okay, let me bring in Dr. Ranganathan.
कर दिया। और 2022 में जब कोर्ट को पूछा गया कि भाई ये क्यों किया आपने, तब उन्होंने कोर्ट को बताया कि नहीं, क्यों टेररिज्म बचाने के लिए।
Okay. Viewers, just one second. Dr. Ranganathan, quick response to Mr. Muni.
आप समझ गए?
Yes. Okay.
This is deliberate and malicious muddying of water, because let me tell you what happened after the 2022 Supreme Court 3-judge bench judgment. Is the reverse burden of proof to stay? Yes. Is it mandatory to give ECIR? No. Is the bail to be made extremely stringent? Yes. Is money laundering to be considered as heinous as terrorism? Yes. Is attachment of property to be allowed? Yes. Is statement made to the ED to be made admissible? Yes. This all happened with the permission of the Supreme Court. What are you talking about? ये नहीं बोलोगे आप?
Okay, one second. Let me ask you. Let's open this up. Tehseen Poonawala, 1 second. Okay. So you see, viewers, there are people and there are people. Mr. Kejriwal described himself as an anarchist, if you remember. And what do anarchists do? They take the hammer, the sledgehammer at institutions. So I don't blame Mr. Muni. He's radicalized anarchist. It's okay. They don't believe in the. They don't believe. Well, then, sir, then you should accept the fact and stop spreading lies. You can't spread lies on national TV about the fact that the courts are now mixed up.
I have done a PhD. My qualifications describe my credibility. I am not part of Aam Aadmi Party. I am not part of Congress.
I never said you were.
Okay,
I
so
said
I
you
have
were
not
just
been
somebody who
with any party.
You has
so kindly
internalized.
don't say that these analysis you can use it for Kejriwal.
Okay.
Not for me.
You have internalized.
मेरा कोई political
internalized
मैंने कभी भी एक पैसा नहीं लिया।
ठीक है, अच्छी बात है, मैंने भी नहीं लिया. Good. And therefore we can speak with a clear head. But unfortunately, sir, you are not giving us a response on central question in a very simple question. If Mr. Kejriwal can ask for prosecution of Robert Vadra on a day in, day out basis, so much so that Robert Vadra turns around and says, Kejriwal is obsessed with me. Today, sir, you are sharing a stage with the family that you accused, that Kejriwal accused of sheltering Robert Vadra. I cannot understand how, when you have the gaddi, you become a completely different individual. When you don't, you have a completely different set of moral lenses to look at society. This reeks of hypocrisy, at least in my book. I don't know how it doesn't in yours. But sir, I respect your point of view. It's good that you have given it. If you don't trust the courts, if you think that they're all part of a larger orchestrated attempt at, I don't know, unleashing the fury of the ED on various opponents of the government, you're within your rights to have that view. But it is, at the end of the day, an anarchist view. If you don't believe in your own institutions and the sanctity of your own institutions, and you make all sorts of charges without any proof to suggest collusion, then that is an anarchist view. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to let people come here because I stand in contempt of court if I allow this to continue in the way. So let me bring in Tehseen and let me bring in Tuhin Sinha. Tehseen Poonawala, I want to ask you, am I wrong when I said that Mr. Kejriwal asked for the resignation of no less but the Prime Minister, the Law Minister of the UPA government, of A. Raja, of several other politicians, including prosecution of your own brother-in-law or what have you, your Jija, whatever it is, under corruption charges, brother-in-law, under corruption charges. I want to ask you, am I wrong? Are my facts wrong?
No, it's not.
Okay. Now let me ask you my second question. Do you believe that Mr. Kejriwal is being a bit of a hypocrite, not applying the same standards and yardsticks that he held up for people in the Congress and the Congress's then allies to himself? Simple question, sir.
No, he was being a nuisance then. Now he's undergoing suffering. He was a nuisance then, and it's the law of karma that's caught up with him. However, even though that is the case, I don't stand by the fact that Arvind Kejriwal ji should be behind bars today. And please allow me to present my case.
Sure.
I'll take less than a minute and a half. He's on jail because of two statements primarily, P. Sarath Chandra Reddy and Raghav Magunta. We've spoken a lot about this. What your viewers need to know is Raghav Magunta gave 6 statements saying he doesn't know the chief minister. No, please, Anand, I request you. He gave 6 statements saying he doesn't know the chief minister. When his father's arrested, 7 statements says he knows the chief minister. He's out on bail. P. Sarath Chandra Reddy's Arbindo Pharma, a company founded by his family, public listed company, after his arrest gives 50 crore odd rupees to the BJP. Then he gives a statement that chief minister is involved. He's out on bail, chief minister is in jail. Ask one principal question, Rahul. Why does the ED that opposes the bail of Manish Sisodia, Sanjay Singh and Arvind Kejriwal not oppose the bail of P. Sarath Chandra Reddy and Raghav Magunta? And P. Sarath Chandra Reddy is a money launderer as per BJP, as per ED, sorry. There's no difference between BJP and ED, I'm sorry about that. As per ED. Why don't they oppose the bail? Second, time and again we are told that why don't they get bail? Courts have, are courts involved? No, courts are not involved. The law of ED is such that in the 14,000 odd cases, about 14 odd cases have got bail because you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent. And in a bail matter, you don't go into facts of the case. So you don't get bail. Ultimately, DK Shiv Kumar's case got quashed, but it took him 1 year to be in jail. The process is the punishment. And the same ED-BD, Bajrang Dal, arm of the BJP, which is such a professional organization that Chhagan Bhujbal, who they used to call the most corrupt person in Maharashtra when he was in jail, ED lost a file of Chhagan Bhujbal. Case shut. Praful Patel, case shut. In Karnataka, where the MLA was caught with 9 crore rupees cash. Rahul, I don't think you or me have seen 9 crore rupees cash. I am sure Dr. Ranganathan hasn't. 9 crore rupees cash, they go to court and say we raided him without his permission. Huh? You can what?
You are wearing a 3 crore watch.
I'm wearing a Fitbit to see how many steps I walked. And if you keep saying this, I'll have to walk in Tihar. So stop doing this. There's an ED after me. So stop it. I'm just fake news. And then I have to join the BJP.
Okay, so the point you're making, Tehseen Punal, let me bring it to Sinha.
But the point is, just one more thing.
It's a manufactured case. So that's why
not only is it manufactured.
Okay.
Not only is it manufactured. No, one more thing. Today in court, they say we don't have money evidence against Arvind Kejriwal. 100 crores got spent in Goa. We don't have money evidence. For 2 years, 1.5 years, Manish Sisodia is in jail.
Okay,
you promised the court you'll find a charge sheet in 15 days. Where is that charge sheet?
Okay.
Why have you not filed a charge sheet?
Okay, Dr. Ranganathan, 5 seconds because we have to go to Mr. Gurumurthy on another debate also. Yes.
Two factual corrections.
Yeah.
Two factual corrections. Or I have to join BJP.
It's not 2 approvers, it is 4 approvers. He's deliberately muddying the waters.
Okay.
And number 2, the Supreme Court overlooked the so-called draconian provision. I've already said that.
Yeah.
Thank
okay. Tuin Sinha, very quickly, that 2 of the 4 approvers, as we know, are today in the BJP's ecosystem via the TDP and have paid money to the BJP as far as electoral bonds are concerned, etc., etc. So they are unreliable and therefore this is a witch hunt. These are all orchestrated cases, etc., etc. Poor Kejriwal is now being punished by the process and therefore he should not be stepping down. Now that's a simple argument, very logically made. We are not going into calling questions of the judiciary, etc. I'm sure you can at least answer that part to Sinha.
Well, Rahul, Kejriwal had 9 summons. He had enough opportunities, so obviously he had to be taken into interrogation to examine, the statements made by the other accused. Now, if during the interrogation something more has come up, because today's judgment by the court is clearly based on what the ED has managed to access over the last 7 or 8 days or the last 10 days when Kejriwal has been under interrogation. So I don't think, any of these stand. Fact is that if you go by the latest twist and turns with Kejriwal blaming Atishi and Saurabh Bharadwaj, it seems that Aam Aadmi Party is not a political party at all. It is a scamming gang. And from Anna Hazare to Lalu Yadav, the way their mentorship has changed over the last 12 years, I think this is a party which still has a lot to reveal. This is a party which has been hiding a lot. So I think you should, now that the courts are ruling and the ED has clearly no role in extending his custody, I don't think we should continuously harp on Kejriwal being victimized. Rather, The onus is on Kejriwal to ensure that Delhi government works well, for which he should quit, and the onus is also on him to ensure that Aam Aadmi Party survives, because if you believe
Rahul,
some
just one
reports,
point.
if you go by some reports which are coming out,
Just one
Aam Aadmi Party might just integrate and Atishi and Saurabh Bharadwaj might float their own party.
Okay, now look.
Just one point. Just one point.
No, fine.
10 seconds.
No,
Just 10 seconds. Well, not actually 10 seconds. I won't take more than 10. The BJP spokesperson Turing said that Kejriwal blamed Atishi and Saurabh Bharadwaj, which has been a narrative running in the media. Actually, that's not true. Vijay Nair in a statement 1.5 years ago said that, listen, I reported to Atishi and Saurabh. The chief minister only repeated what was already said and accepted in court. That's not throwing them under the bus. Just to clarify that.
1 second, the context
Okay,
has
let us,
changed.
Yasin,
The
wait
context.
for
1 second.
No, it's
one
not
second,
changed.
one
How
second.
did it change?
Of course, at that
Tomorrow,
time, the
10
specific.
a.m.
No, 1 second. At that time.
Let us
Vijay,
wait for
1 second.
Atishi's
Anyhow,
explosive press
okay.
conference tomorrow at 10 a.m. and you will see how the Aam Aadmi Party, everybody is involved in this.
Okay, 1 second. Viewers, the BJP's basic claim today is that the AAP has dropped its moral standards over corruption. Today, it partners parties, and you could accuse the BJP of that. It is also partnering parties today that it itself singled out for being tainted and corrupt. Number two, the BJP says that, look, when it comes to this particular issue, it could have complied. Kejriwal could have complied with the Enforcement Directorate. The process would not have been as excruciating as it is today had he done so within the first summon or the second summon. Another gentleman, Mr. Gehlot, a cabinet minister, has done so. What stopped Mr. Kejriwal? Viewers, the fact of the matter is today that Mr. Kejriwal is in jail. Does it behove a chief minister? Can he even, forget about behove, can he even effectively govern from jail? That's a fundamental question and that needs to be answered. Now, whether it will be answered because the centre will swoop in and impose president's rule, or Mr. Kejriwal will pick a successor in the interim, we have to see.